So, what happens when a dream season, led by a rookie quarterback who looks like an absolute world beater, suddenly crashes and burns in the playoffs? I mean, a total shocking meltdown. How does a team, and more importantly, how does that young quarterback bounce back from a collapse on the biggest stage imaginable? And what moves are the Houston Texans making right now to make sure that never, ever happens again? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. Welcome to NFL Nexus. If you love football analysis that goes way deeper than just the highlights, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and give this a like. All right, let's jump right into the incredibly high-stakes offseason of the Houston Texans.
Look, this isn't just your standard run-of-the-mill offseason for the Texans. No way. This is a genuine crossroads, a moment that could really set the course for this franchise for the next 5, maybe 10 years. And to get why the pressure is cranked up to 11, why every single move feels so monumental, we've got to rewind. We have to go back to that moment where it all just fell apart. We've got to look at the whiplash-inducing contrast between a storybook season and a postseason nightmare that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming.
CJ Stroud's rookie year, it was legendary. And I'm not using that word lightly. We're talking about one of the single greatest rookie QB seasons in NFL history. He was the slam dunk offensive rookie of the year, threw for over 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, and, get this, only 5 interceptions. 5. The entire season. He had the best interception rate in the whole league. He was the savior the Texans had been praying for, playing with the poise of a guy who'd been in the league for a decade. But then, the 2025 playoffs happened, and it was like we were watching a completely different human being. In just 2 playoff games, he threw 5 interceptions, the exact same number he threw all regular season long. And to make matters worse, he fumbled the ball 5 times. That's 10 potential turnovers in 2 winner-go-home games. It was a complete and utter meltdown, an avalanche of mistakes from the guy who had been Mr. Surgical all year. It left everyone just stunned, and asking a pretty terrifying question. Which one of these guys is the real CJ Stroud?
Okay, so a playoff collapse like that, it puts the front office in a really, really difficult position. All of a sudden, the guy you thought was your untouchable franchise cornerstone, he's being questioned. The media narrative flips on a dime. The whispers start. So what do you do? Do you panic? Do you let all that outside noise start to affect your decisions? Or do you double down on the guy you believed in, the guy who gave you a season filled with more hope than you've had in years? For the Texans, well, the answer was loud and clear, and their response was as fast as it was firm.
The Texans' response was basically a giant, emphatic no. Things got so shaky after that playoff performance that general manager Nick Caserio was actually asked, straight up, if the team was thinking about trading Stroud. His answer was instant. It was raw, and it left absolutely zero doubt. It's moronic. We're not trading the guy. He's our quarterback. Just think about that word choice, moronic. That's not your typical polished PR statement. That was Caserio building a firewall around his quarterback. He was sending a message to every other team, every fan, every reporter in the league, stop it. CJ Stroud is our guy, period. We're not abandoning him over 2 bad games. That, right there, is how you publicly back your franchise player.
And this is where you see just how aligned the Texans are. While the GM, Caserio, is handling the business side, shutting down trade talk, head coach DeMeco Ryans comes in and addresses the human side of it, the player's actual mindset. And his report was absolutely glowing. See, Ryans didn't bother making excuses for what happened. Instead, he painted this picture of Stroud's present and his future. He's talking about how Stroud is dialed in full grind mode. He even made a point to say that Stroud is in a really good space, mentally and physically. The message here is crystal clear. The organization isn't just hoping he bounces back. They believe the collapse didn't break him. It focused him. It gave him fuel. They are confident he has the mental toughness to learn from this and come back even stronger.
All that public support from the front office, it's absolutely crucial. It's step 1. It quiets all the outside noise and lets your quarterback just focus on playing ball. But words, no matter how strong they are, they can only get you so far. If you really want to help your young QB get back to that Rookie of the Year level, you've got to give him weapons. You need to make his job easier. And that brings us to maybe the single biggest addition to this Texans offense for the upcoming season, a player who isn't even new. The return of Dell is coming, and it's a huge deal.
It's so easy to just point the finger at Stroud for what happened in the playoffs, but you absolutely have to remember the context. He was playing with a depleted roster. One of the biggest pieces missing was his electrifying wide receiver, Dell, who was out for the entire 2025 season after that devastating broken fibula he suffered late in 2023. Dell wasn't just another guy. He was an explosive playmaker who had this incredible chemistry with Stroud. Losing him didn't just mean you were down one player. It completely changed the entire geometry of the offense. So getting a weapon of his caliber back on the field, that's not just a minor upgrade. It's a foundational change for the entire offensive attack.
Tank Dell's return is an absolute game changer. Seriously. It creates this positive ripple effect that lifts up the entire offense. First, and most importantly, he's a safety net for CJ Stroud. As rookies, those two had this instant, almost psychic connection that resulted in 7 touchdowns. That's priceless for young QB's confidence. Second, his presence is going to give so much freedom to Nico Collins. Last season, Collins was the clear-cut #1 guy, which meant he saw the other team's best corner, plus safety help over the top on almost every single play. It's called bracket coverage. It's basically a permanent double team. Well, with a healthy Tank Dell out there, defenses have to pick their poison. They can't possibly double team both of them. That's going to leave Nico Collins in a ton of one-on-one matchups, which is a defensive coordinator's worst nightmare. And third, he's like a brand new, shiny toy for offensive coordinator Nick Caley. Dell's speed and his route running, especially from the slot, unlocks a whole chapter of the playbook that was basically just gathering dust last year.
So with Tank Dell coming back to pair with Nico Collins, this Texans offense is looking absolutely loaded for a huge year. But as we all know, a great offense is just one piece of the championship puzzle. To be a real, legitimate Super Bowl contender, you need the whole package. You need depth, you need talent on defense, and you need to be able to find value where other teams just aren't looking. And that's exactly what the Texans front office is doing, working like crazy, turning over every rock to find those players that can build out a truly complete roster.
And the Texans are proving they'll go absolutely anywhere to find that talent. I mean, they're not just looking at the obvious big-name guys from the big schools like Alabama or Ohio State. Nope, they are digging deep into the small schools, trying to unearth those hidden gems like Charles Demings. Now, Demings is a cornerback from Stephen F. Austin. Not exactly a household name, but this kid has all the physical tools you could ever want in an NFL player. He's 6'1", 193 pounds. That's the ideal size and length pro teams drool over. He's been creating some serious buzz in scouting circles, getting that classic diamond in the rough tag, and he could end up being a massive steal for the Texans on day 3 of the draft.
And when you look at Demings' testing numbers, you can see why they're so excited. These are, well, they're just absurd. We're talking elite-level stuff. He ran a 4.41 40-yard dash, which for a guy his size is just blazing fast. Then you see a 42-inch vertical and an 11-foot broad jump. Now, those might just sound like numbers, but let's put that on a football field. That 42-inch vertical, that's the explosiveness to go up and fight for a jump ball against a 6'5 receiver in the corner of the end zone. That 11-foot broad jump, that's raw lower body power that translates directly into closing speed on a receiver's route. And hey, he's not just some workout warrior. The on-field production is there too. He had 4 interceptions his senior year. He's got the ball skills to back up the athleticism. He is the exact kind of prospect that teams dream of finding in the later rounds.
Demings is just a perfect example of a smart, low-risk, high-reward kind of pick. Because he's from a small school, he's probably going to be there in the later rounds of the draft. That means the Texans could potentially grab a starting-caliber cornerback without burning a high-value first- or second-round pick. It's just smart, efficient team building that adds incredible depth behind their top guys like Derek Stingley Jr. and Kamari Lassiter. With these kinds of moves, the Texans are putting together a roster that's deep, talented, and versatile enough to make a real run. The whole picture is starting to come into focus.
So look, the Texans are doing everything right. They are putting CJ Stroud in the absolute best position to succeed. They're getting him weapons, they're building a defense to support him, and they're giving him their 100% unconditional public support. They've built the nest. But at the end of the day, it's all on him. He has to deliver, he has to reward that faith, and with a massive, franchise-changing contract extension right around the corner, the pressure on his shoulders has literally never been greater. This season isn't just about winning football games, it's about his legacy, and yeah, it's about securing a whole lot of money.
Yeah, this upcoming season, it's about so much more than just redemption for CJ Stroud. It's about his entire financial future. Stroud is heading into the 4th year of his rookie deal, which means he is now eligible to sign a long-term contract extension. And if he bounces back, if he proves that playoff disaster was a fluke and not the new reality, he is in line for an absolutely enormous payday. According to ESPN's Dan Graziano, the starting point for that extension is probably going to be somewhere around 4 years for a staggering $224 million. That is life-changing, set your family up for generations kind of money. And it's a pretty huge incentive for Stroud to come out and play the best football of his life this season.
So here we are. The Texans have pushed all their chips to the middle of the table. They have invested absolutely everything in CJ Stroud, their draft picks, their public reputation, their entire team-building philosophy. They are betting the house that he is the guy, the leader who can take them to a Super Bowl.
But can he handle that crushing weight of expectation? Can he rebound from that playoff collapse and prove without a shadow of a doubt that he's the franchise quarterback they believe he is? Can he silence the doubters and earn that massive contract? That is the multi-million-dollar question that this season is finally going to answer. The stage is set, the team is ready, the ball is in his hands. Thanks for sticking with us for this deep dive here on NFL Nexus. Hopefully this gave you a much better feel for the incredible amount of pressure and, frankly, the exciting potential facing the Houston Texans this season. I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments. Is Stroud going to get it done and lock down that huge contract? And hey, if you're looking for a really cool way to support the channel, be sure to check out our official NFL Nexus coloring books. They're awesome for kids, grandkids, or even for you adults looking for a fun way to relax and show some team pride. The link is right there in the description, or you can just scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.